Kia ora, g'day. Welcome to Uncovering Authenticity. I'm Monique Bradley. It's a delight to have you here. If this is your first time listening or watching one of these podcasts, this is all about real people, real stories, sharing their truth, uncovering who they really are, what drives them, and those little nuggets or gems or moments of wisdom that they could have wished they could have told 16-year-old self, or that they want to share with the world. This is their Oprah moment. This is their TEDx talk. This is their moment to shine and sparkle. That's what this is all about. And today I'm delighted to have someone in the studio who has an incredible business career and a transformation in their career, which I think you'll find really, really interesting. This is Grant Narbey from MTP Renovations.
Thank you.
How was that? That was quite good. I'm just warming up. I'm warming up, Grant.
Yeah.
And I just have to ask you, you're in the renovation game, right?
That's correct.
What drives you to get out of bed? I'm going to start with the big question first. What drives you to get out of bed every morning to make over someone's home?
Wow. So when you renovate, there's so much going on. And when you have like 3 or 4 jobs at one time, have to be on the ball because we have tradespeople going in, coming out, we have deliveries, we have all this sort of stuff going on, and then have to be on top of it to put out any fires before they start. Definitely, just to make sure before the walls go back on, all the wiring's done, the pre-plumbing's done, everything's good, nothing's been missed.
So it's a little bit like being an octopus, is it?
Yeah.
There's lots of tentacles all in lots of different directions. And when you're talking about putting out fires, it's not literal, is it? It's
not
metaphorical.
Literal, metaphorical. Yeah.
Wow. How does your brain cope with all of those moving parts?
Have to schedule. Scheduling is so important. And the thing is, if one trade pushes out, then the whole schedule pushes out. So we run software and then I can schedule in that so I can go on that every day and just check the schedule to make sure that we're on target. And if something has to change, that we change it straight away.
Yeah, gotcha.
Just to make sure that we're not getting behind or someone turns up when we're not ready for them, or delivery turns up and no one's there to meet it.
I would find that so hard. My brain isn't great with scheduling details. I find it a real block. I get overwhelmed even trying to use like a spreadsheet, to be absolutely honest. How did you get into doing a job which has so many moving parts? What was your story? Has this been your whole career? And I know, spoiler alert, it hasn't been your whole career. How did you get into this job?
Well, I've always been into renovation from a very early age. Like when I was at university, I was doing part-time construction work, and I worked in Australia doing construction and all types of helping out and stuff like that. But then I went to a diving career, a career of, first of all, recreational diving, which is teaching people and taking them pleasure diving. And that moved into technical diving, which is deep mixed gas diving, rebreather diving, which led into commercial diving. And commercial diving, a lot of it was construction as well, so underwater construction.
Wow.
And so it's very similar in some ways with the skill set, because from the actual diving, then you go into running the dive teams, you go into project managing the teams and the jobs as you go. And then with commercial diving, a lot of it is surface supplied. So you have your dive station at the surface, or dive control. And from there, you control your divers. So your diver's on a umbilical, so he's tethered from the surface. You feed him the gas, he's got video, he's got light, he's got communications, and then you run through the job, sometimes with the engineer, sometimes with the project coordinator in the actual dive shack itself, who will be sort of like looking at the works and then going through the job scope to get it done. And so
that's intense. Keep going.
And so that's a little bit like renovation works as well, because we're dealing with different subcontractors, we're dealing with different trades, we're dealing with different job scopes to a schedule. You always have a client that you have to answer to.
That's incredible. So when they're under the water, just because this is a whole world. Like I said to you before we started, I can't even swim. And I know I've got to get on top of that. I've got to learn to swim. We're an island nation. It's the least I should do. But for you, when people are working underwater, what sort of jobs are they able to do underwater?
Well,
I can't even fathom it. Pardon the pun, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Keep going.
Okay, maybe I'll explain. First of all, there's scuba diving.
Yeah.
So scuba diving is just when you're self-contained. So you take your cylinder, your gas supply with you.
Gotcha.
And then you might be on a tether.
Okay.
But
and a tether is just a big cord, is it?
yeah, so if you're scuba diving, it might just be a rope that goes back to the surface and you can communicate with hand signals.
Oh, wow.
You can put comms down to if you have a half mask or if you have like a full face mask where you can talk into, but that's like scuba diving. And then you go on to surface supply, so that's actually supplying the diver with gas and you can communicate and they can video and stuff like that. Wow. So most commercial diving done today is on surface supply. And so especially if they're inspection's a big part of commercial diving. So you might be inspecting something, you might be taking measurements, you might be checking for an engineer or doing like shipping, for example, if you're on a ship. So a ship needs a warrant of fitness. And so if you're doing your inspection, then the diver will be down there and you'll have the people in the shack, will be asking them, okay, go have a look at this, go have a look at that. So if the surveyor wants to inspect the sea chest or the propeller or anything else like that, you direct your diver in that direction and then it's all captured on video. They take photos of it as well, so photographic inspections. And that's the inspection side of it, but then you've got the maintenance side of it as well. So if you're having to do maintenance, like, for example, here in Auckland, all the ships that come in, all the cruise liners, all the trading vessels, all the cargo liners, all the big vessels, they all need work done to them. There might be a problem that they've got, or it might need to be cleaned to be able to make, a sea chest operate better, something like that. So
how did you learn all these skills? Was it on the job, or like you've been to university? What did you study there?
No, I studied music at university.
Did you?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so if you want to you have to become a diver first of all. So you can do a course anywhere to become a recreational diver. But then if you want to go into commercial diving, you have to go to commercial dive school. And they do have a school in Huntley, just down the road here, where you can do your part 1, which is your scuba up to 30 metres, your part 2, which is surface supply up to 30 metres, your part 3, which is surface supply up to 50 metres. And then if you want to go beyond that, you start getting into mixed gas, which we call saturation diving or mixed gas diving. And then you'd need to go to a school like in Australia or maybe in Scotland. I went in Scotland to do my mixed gas training. So you actually have qualifications and you have to show your hours in your logbook and pass those competencies as you go.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And then everyone says, "Oh, do you weld underwater?"
Yeah, that's where I was going. It's people like, can you do that?
I'm not a welder. No, it's a lot easier to teach a welder to dive than teach a diver to weld. And then any welding that you do underwater is not going to be structural if it's done in the water. So you can get a certain strength, but to get full structural welding, you have to have a habitat. So that means you have to build like a tent or some sort of environment around your work and then push all the water out. So it's a dry habitat. So the welder can go in and weld dry to get that strength in the weld.
Because I was wondering, because I was thinking, when you're talking about maintenance, I was thinking, well, if you've got a hole in something or, you need to weld something together, how do you even do that? And in my head, I was already, as you were talking, processing and trying to create a picture of how you can do something with arc welding under the water. And that's amazing.
Yeah. So
that is amazing. Cool. That's intense.
So I supervise the welders from the surface, but I don't weld. I've never welded underwater. Wow. Nothing more than the tack, like putting on an anode or something simple like that. Yeah.
So when you go down, again, I don't even swim, so I don't even understand what it's like. When you're under that water, what is that like for you?
Wow, it depends. It can be nice and colourful, and it can be very warm, and it can be very dark, and it'd be very gloomy and very cold. It just depends where you are and what you're doing.
Have you ever felt scared under there?
Not really. I can't say I have. It's a very regulated industry, and if you have confidence in your ability and then confidence in your team, because with the commercial diving, you've got a whole team behind you as well, from the supervisor to the standby diver, so you always have a rescue diver on the surface. You've got your tenders, people that help you dress in, get in the water, get out of the water, and tend to your umbilical. So if you've got good communications and a good team, then it's a very, very safe, I believe, safe work environment. Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting. So you did a degree in music.
I didn't do a degree.
So you went to university and studied music.
I went to the Brisbane Conservatorium.
Okay, back the truck up. Are you kidding me?
In Brisbane.
And what did you study in music?
I studied there jazz drumming, so that was a year diploma. And then I went to the Kelvin Grove MIT So that was the Institute of Technology,
Yeah.
and I started studying performance. And in those days, with sequencing as well. So we'd be sequencing on the old notator,
Yeah.
Atari 1040s. That's back in the day,
Yeah.
where you had to save onto a floppy disk
Yep.
because you had no hard drives or anything like that. So that was quite cool. But then I didn't actually finish a degree because that degree kind of led on to teaching, and teaching wasn't my thing.
No. Wow.
And so from Brisbane, I actually was playing in a band, and we went up and we were playing the blues and playing in the Wet Sundays, Ely Beach. And I went out and I did my first dive on the Great Barrier Reef. And I've been diving, from the age of 14. But when I went on that Barrier Reef, I thought, wow, this is really good.
That's where the magic happened for you.
Yeah. So that's when I started going and following a professional career. So going into becoming a dive master, becoming an instructor, taking people out, teaching them to dive, taking them pleasure diving, and all that was really and I did that for quite a long time.
And of course, in an area like that as well, you'd be living the dream.
It was back in the day. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Sunny all year round, kind of ish.
Yeah, it is sunny. I mean, winter's winter, but it's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So Muso, who became a professional diver and running teams and diving and doing all that incredible work, and now in renovations. What was the trigger to jump ship? Again, I'm full of great gags today. What made you jump ship and go, you know what, I want my own business. I'm an entrepreneurial spirit in there. Yeah. And I'm going to jump on board with MTP and set up my own business, because it's a franchise, right?
It is a franchise, yes.
Wow. And franchises are so incredible in the way that they set out, the fact that you're buying a business which has a model that's set up for you effectively. And I don't know the details of your situation, but what was it like going from that dive environment and managing your teams there into this? What made you transition?
Yes, so we bought a license for MTP Auckland West. That's where I live, at West and Rosebank. And so coming through my dive career, we were always involved in the off time in renovation works, and we subdivided, we renovated, we built.
Yeah.
I went through a whole lifetime of diving, and I got to a stage where I was always away. That was the thing. You're always away. If you're offshore, if you're doing oil and gas, if you're doing salvage, you're always away. You never know when you're going to get on the airplane, when you're going to come back. Even once the contract's signed, you never know until you actually go. And then if you're at sea, it's a 12-hour shift. You never know when the work's going to finish or the weather packs in.
Wow.
So I was looking for a solution to be Auckland-based.
Yeah.
And I thought about it for a long time, what I would do. And I've always liked the ideal of property. I always liked the ideal of taking something, buying it or renovating it and turning it into something which is, for other people, it's their dream, really. It's your home. People are emotionally involved. That's what I like. I like the ideal of people being emotionally involved in their home, and they might buy into it, they might have it, and then they get to a stage where they can renovate and they can upgrade it to what they want. Yeah, so there's always that story.
So we're in the same BNI group. That's how we connected.
Yes.
And I've heard you do a bunch of presentations, and you've won the speaking trophy a few times now. You've come in with a whole bunch of different ideas about how to approach this topic of educating people around renovations and the value and things like that. And then every so often, and this is why I really wanted you to be on the podcast, because I find you really fascinating.
Thank you.
Every so often, you come in with these curveballs in your presentation. So I remember one time you spoke about gratitude.
Yes.
And there's a lot of almost, I want to say, metaphysical principles that come in through your 1 minuters, which are either obvious, or for people who do kind of play in the metaphysical world like I do a little bit, it's all these little kind of nods to gratitude, to presence, to breath work, to being grateful to everything and the universe, or universal principles and things like that I hear coming through the language that you share.
What does metaphysical mean?
Metaphysical. I want to say kind of woo-woo.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, kind of woo-woo.
Spiritual,
yeah. Whatever you want as a word for it. Where are those influences coming from? you talk about meditation, mindfulness, actually. I heard you talk about mindfulness.
Yes.
I hear a lot of those influences coming in, which is, and obviously, I come from an acting background.
Yes.
I am trained to understand character and personas, and that struck me as being something I wouldn't necessarily associate with somebody who may be working in construction, which I know sounds really judgmental, but it was a delight to hear.
Right.
So tell me about that side of who you are and how that penetrates and washes through every part of your life. Because it sounds like it's like the gratitude practice and things like that sound like they're quite important for you.
Yes, definitely. It's very easy for me to get overwhelmed with everything going on. And that's when I first started getting involved in meditation. So even just 20 minutes in the morning just to clear my mind, and 20 minutes in the evening. And yes, I would like to believe I'm a spiritual being. I would like to believe there's a lot more to life than just living and dying. And so I do listen to a whole lot of different types of audiobooks about different types of philosophies and theories and everything else like that. I don't know what it is, but I just feel that we are connected, or I am connected to something greater than, and I try and tap into that. So when I get, especially, like everything's going on and gets all a little bit too much, getting that time just to put on the music, I put on this really relaxed music, try and clear my head. And I find that approaching that gratitude is really connecting, saying, thank you for my life. Let me look at what I have, because it's too easy to get bogged down, but look what I have in my life. And it's all, it's all, what's the word? Sort of like everything I have in my life is a consequence of, I suppose.
It's a big question, eh?
What I believe is a power greater than myself working in my life. Yeah, whatever that power may be.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that power, because there are some people that I've interviewed who are deeply spiritual from a religious perspective. Yes. I grew up personally in a spiritualist household. So my father was a spiritualist speaker. Nice. And he spoke about quantum physics and principles like that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a world that I grew up in, and that's kind of my normal. And I often talk in the corporate world about how I believe that your state determines your experience. So that's me trying to help people remember that the energy you bring into a room impacts the experience of yourself and the others around you. And it's a way for me to be able to kind of deliver that message, but in a corporate fashion, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And I'm really open to those conversations. And I've heard these things coming through you when you speak, and I've always found it so interesting. Because if you think of the world's, but now I know you're a muso, and being a muso, that artistry itself, I believe, is some sort of divine energy that comes through you. It's a gift, this gift that you're naturally born with, that you study to hone your skills, but it's something almost like, and I know it as a performer myself, it's something that kind of comes through you when you perform, right?
It's like an itch that needs to be scratched.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in unless you've done it, it's really hard to explain to other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to that meditation work that you do you follow, you said music, but do you follow guided meditations, or what works for you best?
I do guided meditations, but they have to be the right type of guided meditations. Mm-hmm. I just like really relaxing music, and then just to try and clear my mind, and then concentrate on good thoughts. Good thoughts like, gratitude, and that I'm thankful for my life. And I think about faith, because I want to have faith. So I'm trying to build a faith, because faith has never come naturally to me. Wow. And I was brought up religious as well, but I'm talking about, I suppose a spiritual faith, that there's more to life and that life is really worthwhile, and there's a lot of good people, and I want to attract those good people in my life. But when I'm meditating, I'm also thinking about business as well. Something that, I want to clear my head so I can think and make sure that I'm thinking about where we're going with the business, and that I'm attracting the right people. I want to attract the right clients. I'm thinking about my budget, and I'm trying to visualize my budget in my head for the month, and what do I have to do today to realize that budget, because I'm quite big on planning and thinking about how do we get from one step to the next step. And so I think about that. I think about my family and grateful for having my family in my life. And then I also think about creativity and freedom of choice. They're the two big things that my life has given me. I've got the option to be creative and also to have, to choose my life, to choose what I do and to choose the people I want to be with. So, yeah, that's kind of what I focus on, my meditation, and bring that in. And then I focus on the feelings that involves, the feelings of gratitude, the feelings of love, just to have love for life, because I've been on the dark side of life as well, where I've seen life to be really glum, and then I can get overwhelmed at times. So, that stress, which can create anxiety, or you're worried about finances, but that's neither here nor there. If I can focus on the good things in life, and the good things in life is really just life itself, and a reason for being, I suppose, is what I'm saying, or I'm thinking.
Yeah, I love this. And this is why I love this podcast, because getting to see behind why people do what they do and what they do, but getting into their practice as an example, their daily practice of being, I think that's the core of success. Everything emanates from or starts from us. We are the source, or source comes through us so that we can be the source or the central character of our life. I often talk in my keynotes about you're the central character. How are you showing up as that character? Right. Do you have main character energy, or are you playing someone else's supporting character? Right. Questions like that, similar sort of thing, just approached from a methodology which is kind of, I guess, aligns with my background as an actor and presenter and stuff. Have you noticed, since you've started this practice, a change in how you show up? Have you noticed how it affects or impacts your work?
Oh, definitely. It affects my day, the way I feel with my day. And I notice if I haven't done my meditation in the morning, so when you're asking about getting up early in the morning, I try and get up and do that little meditation in the morning, play my guitar, which I've just started learning a little bit in the morning, and that sets me off for a nice day. And at the end of the day, everything's got busy, and then I try and clear my head out again, and then I have a nice sleep. Otherwise, I've had days in the past where I find it hard to sleep because my head's going at 100 miles an hour. So it's about quietening down the head in the morning, get on with the day, and I can't multitask, so I try and plan out and just do the next thing ahead of me, and at the end of the day, just let it go. I try and do that, and I try and do that. That's what I'd like to be able to do.
That's amazing. So even on the mornings when we have to get up we're at BNI, our BNI meeting at 6:45. Do you still plan ahead and get up before BNI and do your meditation?
Yes, that's the plan at 5:15, because I'm the visitor host, so I have to be there at 6:30.
Oh, you do too.
So on a BNI day, I only do 15 minutes of meditation on a BNI day, but it still helps clear the head. And also on that meditation, I try and think, what am I going to say today? Because I haven't prepped it before. What am I going to say? I've got 60 seconds, and I always get nervous about that 60 seconds.
Wow.
So
you do such a good job. They're great.
Yeah.
But now I can understand your secret to success is that planning time through your meditation.
Yeah, and then also when I drive in the car to BNI in the morning, have some music on and just try and
practice.
Yeah, just
practice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So Grant, one of the things that I always do in this podcast, because I find every person has this incredible story and they've learnt amazing lessons throughout their journey. And I never fully know their journey until we get to this podcast desk.
Yeah.
So it's always a beautiful journey of discovery. And really, to be honest, I'm just deeply nosy about people. I just want to know how people operate. But if you had some sort of, if you review your timeline behind you and you think about all of these experiences that you've had throughout your life, and even things we haven't touched on today, I bet there's a million stories in there. I bet there are. Is there one sort of theme or life lesson that has stood out for you that you either wish you had have told 16-year-old self, or that you really would love to share with the world because it has meaning and you want to change the life of someone else, or it's just that burning message inside of you that you wish everybody knew? What would it be?
I would just say that life is short, and follow your dreams, do what you need to do to feel good, to have that good life experience. Because when I first became a commercial diver, I said to myself, I wish I'd done this 20 years ago. I started playing the guitar a week ago, and I said to myself, I wish I'd done this 20 years ago. Life gets very busy and we kind of like get wrapped up in certain things, but I think you have to follow your heart a little bit and do the things that you want to do while you can do them, so you don't have any regrets thinking, I wish I'd done that.
I love it. And this is why I love this podcast. Everybody I've had on here has given me some sort of beautiful piece of wisdom or some nugget of joy. So don't put off what you could do today. Don't put off that dream. Do it now. Don't wait in 20 years' time and go, I wish I'd have done this 20 years ago.
Or it's never too late. That's the other thing as well.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm 55 and I'm playing guitar for the first time like a 16-year-old. I find it quite exciting, you know. Woohoo.
Your rock and roll career is coming back again.
Yeah.
I love it. Never too late. Well, thank you so much, Grant. Look, it's been a delight to have you here chatting about this incredible career and a whole world I knew nothing about. Thank you for sharing.
Well, thank you.
And if people want to get you on board to have a look at their place and do a bit of a reno, a bit of a makeover, how can they find out about you?
Oh, they can Google MTP, renovations.nz. Look at our Facebook page, look at our website, give me a ring.
Yeah. Have a yarn.
Have a yarn. Come out, do a site visit. That's the first thing. Come out, do a site visit, have a look what people would like to achieve, and then look at how that can be made a reality.
Love it. I love it because dreams fuel us, right?
That's correct.
Dreams
I believe
fuel
so.
us. Well, that's what I've got from today's chat.
Great.
Thank you so much, Grant. You are an absolute delight. And you know the details. If you want to find out more, all the details will be put around this video somewhere, or this podcast chat somewhere. So if you want to click on the link and find out more, please do. Also, I keep getting told to tell everybody, please like, subscribe, share. If something stood out for you, share this, because you never know where that message may land and just change the life of someone else. Grant, thank you so much for coming into the studio today. You're amazing. Woo!
You.
And thank you so much to Pete Ward, who was behind the scenes producing. Pete Ward, you are amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you to you as well. You are amazing. This podcast would not exist if you weren't listening, watching and sharing. So thank you so much. My name's Monique Bradley. This is Uncovering Authenticity, and it's a wrap. We'll see you next time. Ka kite anō e no hora.